A young man with unique hearing skills is trying to stop a nuclear war between Russia and France. However, a mistake threatens the lives of the entire crew on the submarine. Can he save everyone? Let's find out. The opening scene shows a French commando squad on a secret mission along the coast of Tartus, Syria. The commandos are hiding from the Syrian soldiers. Meanwhile, the French submarine named Titan is coming to retrieve the commandos from the area. Several soldiers along with their dogs are chasing the French commandos. After a shootout between both parties, the commandos successfully reach the sea. The crew of the submarine confirms the pickup to the commandos. The submarine is led by Captain Grandchamp and his executive officer, Dorsai. Thus, the commandos put on their diving suits and jump into the sea. As they reach near the coast, an officer named Chantarade, nicknamed Socks, hears a suspicious noise on sonar. Chantarade is known as the Golden Ear because of his skills in classifying underwater sounds. At first, he is unable to identify the object due to its low frequency. Being specialized in underwater noises, Chantarade tries to identify this noise. Initially, it seems like a submarine with 4 blades. However, there is no submarine with 4 blades in function. Then he considers the possibility of it being a cargo ship, but they can't be that silent. However, Captain Grandchamp asks him to identify it quickly as they are running out of time. Eventually, Chantarade classifies it as an injured whale and advises them to proceed with the mission. Thus Captain Grandchamp trusts Chantarade's words and gives the signal to move forward. Suddenly, they detect another noise on the sonar. This time, Chantarade confirms that it is a mysterious submarine with 4 blades. However, he mentions that it's a submarine he's never heard of. Furthermore, they learn that the unknown submarine is transmitting its position to an Iranian ship. Meanwhile, Chantarade mentions that their sonar has detected Titan. Thus, Grandchamp alerts the whole crew, and Titan enters a combat state. A helicopter that operates near the sea launches depth charges into the water. Luckily, Titan survives the attack. Then the Titan surfaces on the water, and Captain Grandchamp emerges to shoot down the helicopter. After exchanging some gunshots, Grandchamp succeeds in shooting down the helicopter with a rocket launcher. Later, they rescue the French commandos and head back to their base. At the base, the radio announces that Russia is attacking the southern part of Finland. To assist Finland, the French president chooses to send their naval force. In the evening, the entire Titan crew celebrates their victory and cheers for Grandchamp's bravery during the critical moment. Meanwhile, Chantarade apologizes to Grandchamp for misidentifying the noise earlier, but Grandchamp tells him to let it go. Afterwards, a higher-ranking officer summons Chantarade to his office. Chantarade asks the senior officer if he can keep investigating the mysterious submarine. However, the officer informs Chantarade that it's just a drone. Additionally, as a consequence, the officer takes away Chantarade's access to the database. The officer then scolds Chantarade for providing incorrect information that endangered Titan. Later, Admiral Alfost asks Captain Grandchamp and Captain Dorsai to come to his office. He tells them that the French president wants to send troops to Finland. At the same time, Russia warns the French ambassador about using atomic weapons. So, they're waiting for orders from the president to put their nuclear submarine in the water for defense. Then Admiral Alfost promotes Grandchamp to lead a nuclear missile submarine called Formidable. Dorsai now commands the Titan submarine. The next day, Chantarade decides to continue his research on the mysterious submarine. Thus he sneaks into the superior officer's office. There he tries to unlock his computer to retrieve the data. With his special listening skills, he remembers the sound of the officer typing the password before. Surprisingly, he uses the same pattern to unlock the computer. Then he gets the data from the computer. Afterwards, he goes to a bookstore to find a book called Harmonic Spectra. There, he meets a girl named Diane and instantly feels attracted to her. Diane says that she can't find the book he is asking for. However, Chantarade invites Diane to spend time with him at night, and she agrees. At night, they meet at the club and share their lives. Chantarade tells Diane that he's an acoustic warfare analyst who can identify different sounds underwater. Diane seems impressed by Chantarade, and they spend time laughing and having drinks together. Later, they both engage in an intimate relationship with each other. In the morning, Diane tells Chantarade that the database doesn't have the book he asked for, as they delete the database for old books after some time. Suddenly, Chantarade gets the idea to check the physical database at the base. Thus, he secretly sneaks into the archive vault to get more information. Luckily, he finds traces of a 4-bladed submarine. This makes him realize that it's a ballistic missile submarine named Timor 3 that was disassembled years ago. After a few minutes, a senior officer comes to the place. He locks Chanterade in the room and snatches his phone for breaking in without permission. Meanwhile, Chanterade tries to share his discovery with him, but he doesn't listen. Hours later, the senior officer comes again. Then he tells Chanterade that Grandchamp insists on having him aboard the submarine Formidable. This makes Chanterade happy. However, the officer says that he needs to pass a test first, and then the Admiral will decide his fate. Thus, Chanterade takes a test in front of the Admiral. He is asked to identify different noises, and he skillfully identifies each sound. Ultimately, he clears the test and gets ready to join Grandchamp's crew. As they are about to board Formidable, Grandchamp calls Chanterade. Then he tells Chanterade that he failed the medical test, making him unfit to serve. This breaks Chanterade's heart, and he cries a lot. As he's about to leave the deck, he hears a siren and rushes towards the base. The French commandos detect a Russian missile fired from the Bering Sea. Thus a retaliatory action is inevitable from the French side. Chaos ensues inside the base as officers try to figure out the culprit. The Formidable records the data of the missile launch. According to the data, the missile launch vessel had a 4-blade propeller. So they all guess that it's Timor 3. However, Russia denies the launch, even though the missile is launched near Russia. Amidst this confusion, Admiral Alfost orders Chanterade to analyze the launch data. Then Chanterade starts listening to the sounds to identify the submarine. After a while, he confirms that the missile is launched from Timor 3. On the other side, Grandchamp receives an encrypted message from the French president. Grandchamp and the rest of the crew become quiet because they can sense what it's going to be about. So, they start to decode the message and discover that the president has ordered the missile launch, considering it a nuclear war. Meanwhile, the team at the base launches an interceptor missile to destroy the incoming enemy missile. However, it misses the target and fails. Suddenly, Chanterade realizes that the incoming missile sounds too light. He explains that the missile might have no payload, meaning it's just an empty missile without any nuclear warhead. Upon hearing this, one of the senior officers gets mad at him and asks the Admiral to kick him out. However, Chanterade insists that he listen to the sound himself. After listening, the officer realizes that Chanterade is right. Meanwhile, Grandchamp informs his whole crew about the French nuclear attack and orders them to get ready for a counterstrike. Following the procedure, Grandchamp's crew cuts out the submarine communication and puts the submarine in stealth mode. Meanwhile, Admiral Alfost is trying to talk to the Chief of Staff at Jupiter Command to stop the attack. However, the general gets a call from the U.S. Secretary of State at the same time. So, he puts Admiral Alfost on hold. The Secretary of State explains that a terrorist group called Al Jadida has bought the old Timor 3 submarine. They launched an empty missile towards France, hoping to start a nuclear war between Russia and France. The general then tells this to Admiral Alfost and asks him to cancel the missile strike. But Navy rules say they can't stop the strike because anyone who interferes could be seen as an enemy. This makes the situation stressful. Admiral Alfost tries to talk to Grandchamp to change his mind. However, Grandchamp has cut off communication with the outside world on the Formidable submarine. Moreover, the submarine is so advanced that it cannot be detected by sonar. With so many lives at risk, Admiral Alfost and Chanterade come up with a plan. They use a helicopter to get inside the Titan submarine, where they tell Dorsey what's happening. Then, Admiral Alfost tells the crew that their main goal is to stop Grandchamp from launching missile by all means necessary. The crew immediately tries to communicate with Grandchamp. Meanwhile, Chanterade uses his skills to find the location of the Formidable submarine. Eventually, he succeeds in finding the approximate location. As the distance between the Titan and Formidable decreases, the Titan crew sends out lots of sonar signals. The Formidable crew realizes that the sonar signals are coming from their own Navy submarine. Meanwhile, Dorsey uses the underwater phone to contact Grandchamp. During the call, he tries to explain the situation to him. However, the other officers on the Formidable crew force Grandchamp to stick to the standard procedure. So, Grandchamp gives the order to continue with the missile launch. Feeling disappointed, Admiral Alfost and the Titan crew try to contact the Formidable once again, but fails. Admiral Alfost asks Chanterade to find Formidable. Chanterade with his superior senses detects Formidable. Admiral Alfost decides to engage Formidable first. This makes Chanterade feel stressed, and he denies Formidable's location to avoid killing his own people. Then Admiral Alfost asks another sound expert to take Chanterade's position to target Formidable. However, Dorsey says that they are our brothers and we can't do that. Eventually, he decides to approach the submarine by swimming to it in person. Admiral Alfost tells him that Grandchamp won't allow him to get inside Formidable. However, Dorsey doesn't listen and takes the risk. Then he dives to reach Formidable. Soon, Formidable detects Dorsey and launches a torpedo that hits him, causing him to sink into the deep ocean. The same torpedo also touches the Titan, causing small damage. Chanterade also gets hurt in the attack but returns to his position to locate Formidable again. After finding Formidable, Titan also fires a torpedo at it. In response, Formidable launches another torpedo. Moreover, Formidable completes its preparations and is now ready to launch its nuclear missile. Both torpedoes start moving toward their targets. Everyone on Titan realizes their fate but decides to prevent the nuclear war. The torpedo aimed at Formidable misses its mark. However, the control room of Formidable is devastated, and most of the crew gets killed. Meanwhile, the other torpedo hits the Titan, causing it to start sinking. Only Admiral Alfost and Chanterade survive the destruction and try to escape the burning submarine. On the other hand, Grandchamp is severely injured but still decides to launch the nuclear missile. Inside Titan, Chanterade uses an underwater phone to make a final call to Formidable. He tells Grandchamp to trust him once more and not to launch the missile. After that, he says goodbye to Grandchamp, facing his fate on the burning Titan. Surprisingly, Grandchamp listens to Chanterade and prevents the missile from being launched before he dies. Then Admiral Alfost helps Chanterade escape using the emergency exit. However, he can't get out by himself and sacrifices his life. Eventually, Chanterade reaches the water's surface and is rescued by a helicopter. Due to water pressure, Chanterade's eardrums are damaged and he becomes deaf. Later, a memorial is held on the submarine to honor the crew who died. In the end, Chanterade reunites with his girlfriend, Diane. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.